Let's get into it. Everybody, we got to look at some Modern Horizons 3 previews live, baby. There's a lot of them today, actually, but I feel like today wasn't the absolute highest quality day, but especially some of the uncommons, look pretty good. And then there's like 2 or 3 rares towards the end that are like Arby's, you know? They have the meats. But let's start today by kind of grouping together all the MDFCs of the day. Boy, there's a lot of these. There's so many of these. It's like going back to Zendikar? Is that where the last MDFCs were? I can't remember anything. Did it happen more than 30 seconds ago? Well, good luck. Let's start off with Bridgeworks Battle. This I didn't know what this was when I first saw the art. I was like, "Are you a spider giant?" No, apparently this is a troll. Either way, good job, Ron Spears. You've been doing a good job forever. This 3 mana, 2 and a green for a sorcery. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 till end of turn. It fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. And on the backside, this is one of those lands. It taps for green, and it enters play tapped unless you pay 3 life. So we have an untapped land that is also a pump spell, that is also a fight spell, but it being sorcery speed really is bad. That just sucks. But like I've said like a million times with these MDFCs, especially the untapped ones, these are always better than they look. At the very least, I want to order a copy of this for the mono green cube because we have to do that this summer at some point. I've already ordered some cards for it like a few days ago. I've already got most of it built, but this card looks like it could go in pretty easily. I like it a good bit, but I'm not too sure it's modern playable. I'm not too sure how many of these MDFCs are modern playable. I'm not too sure how many of these MDFCs were supposed to be in the standard release with MDFCs. Say MDFC again. Like 2 or 3 years ago. Well, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. And like they were too powerful. Right? So these were like shelved designs that ended up in this set or something. Any of this could be true. I could be spouting bull hockey. I'm not too sure. But I'm also just not too sure about this card. Like in general. Right? Next is Fell the Profane. This is probably my favorite of these double face cards today, or we'll see. There's 3 more to look at, but this one looks the most utility at the very least. That goes a long way with me. This is 4 mana, 2 and 2 black for an instant. Destroy a creature or planeswalker. It's got an untapped land on the other side of it, guys. You pay 3 life, enters play untapped, taps for black. So 3 life is going to sound like a lot, but again, we learned the lesson a few years ago that these are great, even in like standard. You know what I mean? So I imagine in modern and whatnot, you also don't mind your life total so much so long as your mana is correct. We learned a lesson with dual lands. Why not these? So I like this a good bit. I think this will make its way into a lot of commander decks, if I had to guess. Same thing's true of that green card. Might make it into some commander decks. People like their fight effects and all that. But this is almost like a free spell, in a commander deck. It's an awful lot like the last MDFC. What was it, Hagra Mauling? It's an awful lot like a Hagra Mauling. But I can't remember if Mauling was instant speed now. I believe it was. I think it was just like kind of murder on one side. I don't know if it had Planeswalker on that side, but either way, when you're Hagra Mauling, you're a good Magic card. We've all learned that, right? We've learned that. Hagra Mauling's a good Magic card. It's pretty good in Commander too, by the way. So I think this is going to make a splash there. But next, Razor Grass Ambush. It's 2 mana. 1 and a white for an instant that deals 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creatures. So yet another removal spell. These first 3 are all kind of removal spells. This one's cool because sometimes you'll see this effect cost 1 mana, so it is technically more expensive than it should be for the fact that it's dual-faced. But at the same time, it's not the worst rate in the world for what can also be a land. I'm just not really sure what exactly plays this. Maybe some kind of control deck can work it in as a 1-of in the mana base, right? Or maybe some kind of like oops all lands or almost all lands pile wants to play some number of these. And again, this looks like a pretty decent removal spell, so I wouldn't bar it from seeing play. And again, maybe in like Commander or something like that, but despite the fact that the green and white ones are also removal spells, again, I got to reiterate, I think the black one is the greatest chance of seeing the most Commander play. Next is Sundering Eruption. This is a Stone Rain, but not really. It's 3 mana, 2 and a red for a sorcery. Destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, shuffle. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. We just had to throw another little bit of extra value on this to make sure the card didn't like suck so much. You're getting a Field of Ruin activation on this bad boy, but it's also a land on the other side. Field of Ruin here's what I'll say about this. Field of Ruin is a land. There's very little opportunity cost to adding it to your deck, other than the fact that it doesn't have the color that you need for your deck unless you're all colorless, right? So, but because it's a land, right, and it technically costs 2 mana to activate it, you know. So this is like a Field of Ruin that actually makes a color of mana that you can use more, I guess, in your deck. There is basically almost as, I would say, I'll put it this way, the opportunity cost gap, you know, between this and a Field of Ruin going into your deck is actually relatively small. I think that there's less opportunity cost on a Field of Ruin or spells like it, lands like it, than there is on this. I think the opportunity cost is slightly higher on a card like this. But if you are in red, it costs 1 more mana than a Field of Ruin activation. And it's not like it takes a slot outside of your mana base. It's a slot in your mana base, you know, so untapped land and all that. So it even does give you this, you know, I clowned on this extra value a little bit, but like this extra value is not nothing. This could just win you the game, you know, so maybe, I don't know. I don't think it's like the worst card in the world. I think that a lot of people are reading it as a Stone Rain. That's bad, you know, and just leaving it at that. But not only is it a Stone Rain, but it also has, you know, the extra utility of being Stone Rain plus, you know, get in. And that could be really good. But I don't know how many, like, I don't know how many, like, you know, aggro decks are going to play this, but who knows? You know, maybe there are lands I'm not thinking of right now that just, like, totally hose aggro decks in Modern. And this could be, like, an interesting utility piece for them to carry. So I've been talking about the card for too long. It's because I'm talking myself into it, but I still don't think, like, is that good? You know what I mean? But next is Sink into Stupor. When it was small, I was thinking about calling it Sink into Supper, but I was like, there's no way it's called Sink into Supper. That's what I do. Sink into Stupor is, I don't know, I do this sometimes too. It's 3 mana, 1 and 2 blue for an instant. Return target spell or non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. It is an untapped land on the other side if you pay 3 life. This is ridiculous. This is really good, right? Am I stupid? Am I being stupid? Is this really, really good? This is a Remand. It's like a Venser, really, right? Like, this is a 3 mana Venser that doesn't have a body. That's also, like, you could argue it's a mana more than Remand. But that's cool. It's a mana more than Remand. It doesn't draw you a card, but it's also a bounce spell. This affects the board state. This affects the board state and the stack. But it's also a land. This is really good, right? Like, I'm literally imploring chat here to tell me that I'm not, like, I don't know, gaslighting myself into thinking that this is like, why would you not play this? Like, if you're in control, right, you play 1 copy of this. At least. I don't think you play, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's like a 3 of or anything, but I think if you're in, like, a Modern control deck, you just play a copy of this, right? You just do that. Yeah, expensive Boomerang hits spells, yeah. It'll get some play, yeah, I got somebody. So, maybe sideboard? I don't know, man. There's just, again, I keep saying opportunity cost. And I hope I'm not, like, sounding like a broken record, but, like, in terms of opportunity cost, there's just almost none on this because, like, it's such a desirable effect. Like, you will absolutely want to use this effect in your deck, even though the rate is slightly higher than you want. I think this is modern. I think this is absolutely modern playable and probably the best of this batch from today, like, pretty easily. I like the black one too, but that's mostly for commander play and, like, maybe occasional one-up play. But this, don't get me wrong, by the way, this will see commander play. I think this sees commander play all day, especially in a format where just, like, blowing out your opponent's, like, one big game-winning spell or whatever, like the one thing they need to get their combo cooking, like, that's really important. So yeah, it'll see play in that format, lickety split, but, like, I think this sees, like, day 1 modern play too, as, like, a one of in a couple of decks. So counter rang, counter boom, I like that. Mostly better, unsubstantiate, yeah. Just the fact that it's a land, dude. The fact that this is a land is cracked. Like, so nuts. Like, I honestly think this is one of those, though. The better ones have this problem, if you want to call it a problem, where, like, the card is kind of good enough that you don't want to play it as a land. You know what I mean? You're just like, well, I am going to need this effect. Like, sometime in the next 3 turns, I'm going to need this effect. So the problem is I also need a land. But, you know, is this my 4th land drop? Is this my 4th land drop? And I just, like, forsake all interaction? Absolutely not. If I have 3 lands, I don't know if I'm dropping this, dude. Like, it's the 4th land in my hand? I don't know, dude. So it's almost too good for its own good. Yeah, it's too versatile, but I don't know, dude. I don't know. I could howl about the card all day, but I think I've made it pretty clear that even though we're about to look at some kind of bad-ish commons and uncommons, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. I think these cards are terrible too. I think this is kind of one of the better cards of the entire day. But move on to Dreadmobile right here. Dreadmobile is 3 mana. It's 2 and a black for a 3/3 vehicle. With Menace, you can pay 1 and sacrifice another artifact or another creature to put a +1/+1 counter on Dreadmobile. You can also crew this for 1 mana. It's not a great card. A drafty kind of card. Really, really wish. I feel like they could have just like made this rare and no payment for the sacrifice. Why does this cost mana? Mostly because they wanted it to be like a drafty thing. But I don't know. Maybe somewhere you make it work, but I don't think so. I really hate paying mana to sack stuff. So, not like the hugest fan, and I'm the kind of guy that should love stuff like this, but I'm too discerning on Aristocrats garbage. You know what I mean? So I'm just not like the biggest fan in the world. Expanding Ooze is up next. Another pretty silly card here. 3 mana, but it's cool. I don't want to give you the wrong idea. It's a cool card. 1 a green and a black for a 3/3 Ooze, and you can pay a green and a black to adapt 1 if it doesn't have any +1/+1 counters. It now has 1. Whenever Expanding Ooze attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target modified creature you control. Modified creatures have equipment, auras, or counters. So obviously it works with itself, but it's like 5 mana to get it going. You know, kind of a 5 mana 4/4 that attacks and becomes a 5/5, 6/6, 7/7, 8/8. So that's neat. I wish it was a +1/+1 counter on each modified creature you control, but then it would have to be at least uncommon. You know, as commons go, this is a neat little drafty thing. That presents, you know, more of a problem as the game goes on, but it does have to attack, by the way. It's not just like at the beginning of combat. So if it's ever in a position where it can't attack, it's just not going to get any bigger. So I think the card kind of sucks a little bit, but is a really, really cool idea, cool design, and cool art, and blah, blah. So this is another one. This card and this card, both in some way, even though this has a vehicle frame, they both kind of look like old Magic cards to me, but like especially this one. This one looks a bit like an old Magic card, but move on to Mandibular Kite here. This is a single white mana for an equipment with Living Weapon. When it ETBs, you get a 0/0 black Phyrexian Germ creature token and attach this to it. I didn't realize it was Germ was the other creature type. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, has flying. It equips for 3 and a white. So 1 mana, 1/1 flyer, basically. That becomes an equipment. Living Weapon is a cool ability, but I feel like there's never been a good Living Weapon card. There's been like 1 or 2. But Living Weapon is such a hard ability to kind of cost and make good, and this is just more of a draft card than anything else. Triton Wavebreaker up next. A single blue for a 1/1 enchantment creature. It's Merfolk Wizard too. You can bestow it for 1 and a blue. And if you haven't seen bestow in a while, it's basically you cast it as an aura instead of a creature for this cost, and you attach it to another creature. As long as Triton Wavebreaker is a creature, it has prowess. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has prowess. So this can be a 2 mana aura for +1/+1 and prowess, or it can be a 1 mana 1/1 prowess. These are both like okay deals. They're not worth playing in Modern. I don't think either one of those deals is worth playing in Modern. But you know what I like this in? Again, Commander decks. A couple of different Commander decks. I can never remember her freaking name, but the Bant Commander that cares about enchantments, and there's probably more than one, but you know, the famous Bant enchantment Commander might actually like something like this. You know, Bestow is a very interesting ability, because these enchantment decks need bodies, but they also need auras, and Bestow is always fixed at, but often Bestow is a really overcosted ability. And even though +1/+1 and prowess probably shouldn't cost 2 mana, this altogether is a pretty cleanly costed card on both modes, and I actually think works really well in like enchantment commander decks, because prowess is a good ability, for sure. And obviously enchantment decks are going to want something like this too, because you know, if you have like an Ancestral Mask on a guy and they get +2/+2 for each aura that's on them or that you control, or each enchantment you control, then they'll get like procs for that and all the other auras on them, but they'll also get like procs from prowess, triggers from prowess, whenever you cast auras to put on them, and that dude can just get like really huge over the course of a turn. So I don't know, man. I'm talking too much about the card because it's kind of just like a drafty card, but I actually think it has like some potential not only in Commander but also I say this word too much. Nobody's told me this in the comment section. I feel like I say this word too much. This is actually a really interesting card in some cubes, depending on like where you're going with your cube. It's low costed. Again, both modes are clean, whatever that means. Both modes kind of feel clean to play. Interesting stuff you can do with this. You can do a prowess theme in your cube and kind of get this going, an enchantment theme in your cube and kind of get it going. It itself is an enchantment creature. That's important for multiple things. So just really like it. Again, in your Enchantress deck, if you have of Enduring Enchantress or, an Eidolon of Blossoms or something, like you draw a card when you play this 1-mana spell. There's just a lot of good stuff about stuff like this. I like it. But we'll move on to Tempest Harvester. 2 mana, 1 and a blue for a Merfolk Wizard at 2/1. And when it ETBs, you get 2 energy. You can also pay, tap it and pay an energy to draw a card, discard a card. So we have a beefy Merfolk Looter, slightly less PT on total, but still 2 power Merfolk Looter here that probably really only gets to loot like twice on the energy that it gives you. But what I like about this altogether is that it's a 2-drop that gives you 2 energy. They've been printing these in this set. There's like 3 of them that I've seen so far. And that just ain't too shabby. This one is probably way more on the draft end of things, but I do want to say that this is common. And there have been a number of commons that create energy counters in this set. So maybe, just maybe, with this, Attune with Ether, and a couple of other pieces, we get together like a Pauper energy deck that can actually like do some labor, So I kind of like this, and I have my eye on it in Pauper. It really depends on what other common pieces we get to make energy, but we've seen a few this set that look like halfway decent, so I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. And even if you're not using its energy for other stuff, like you loot with it, and that's fine. It's totally fine. Kind of looks like she flies at first glance, but she doesn't. It's just like strands of magic, I guess. Anyway, we'll move on to Signature Slam. I have had 2 people DM me about this card today. I very rarely get DMs, but when Twitter works, But Signature Slam. He's given the elbow drop. It is a gorilla in a suit of armor giving an elbow drop, the people's elbow, to a dinosaur, like a velociraptor. This is the best magic card. I know maybe you call me juvenile if you want. But oh my God. I just talked about like a WWE Universes Beyond. So like now my thought is that they're going to do that, but it's all going to be reskins. It's not going to be new cards. It's going to be reskins. So now you reskin this to like flying elbow drop. Let's make it happen. But anyway, 3 mana. It's 2 and a green for an insto. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then each modified creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. You just gang tackle with all your modified guys, 1 dude on their side of the board. It's not a fight effect either. This is just a bite effect. They all bite them. They all just drop bows on 1 dude. And that's actually not bad. The problem is this is 3 mana, so it seems like 0 play whatsoever. It's way too much for this effect. Even at instant speed, even with the +1/+1 counter, this wouldn't see play in standard, I assume. So I don't think it's going to see play in modern. But again, Commander card, there's plenty of like decks that care about +1/+1 counters in Commander. Plenty of decks. So this may go into all of them because it's a decent green removal spell, add instant speed in that format. And you don't care about the cost as much, and you'll take the counter in your like Hardened Scales, Commander thing. So I don't know, man. I think the card is really, 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 really cool, and I wish it was slightly better. But for if this were 2 mana, it would just be like the best bite effects, almost maybe ever printed. I'm not really sure, but close. So when is Modern coming to Arena? I'm not sure that Modern's coming to Arena, but the set is coming to Arena. You can play it in Timeless. I know that much. I don't know if you can play it in any other formats, but I know you can play the set in Timeless. Royal and Draft, obviously. Royal Cartographer is up next. This is 2 mana, 1 and a blue for a 1/3 Merfolk Rogue. Whenever a land, it's got a landfall ability. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get an energy counter. You can also tap this and pay 6 energy to draw 3 cards. This card is insanely dangerous. I really think this card is very... You should remember this thing exists. When I first read it today, I woke up, went to the bathroom, load up Mythic Spoiler, see what they got going on. I see Royal Cartographer, and I'm like, oh, man, oh, I'm sleepy. Oh, what is this? Uncommon Merfolk? Yeah, okay, landfall ability. I guess that's cool. We'll move on to the next card. But, I've read this card 5 times. This is my 5th time reading this card today, and I can tell you, 5th time's a charm. The 3rd time I read it, I was like, wait a minute. It's like, whenever a land enters, you get an energy counter is, that could really turn out to be a criminal line of text. Just a really bad mistake, man. There's so many ways to get a billion energy off of this in a turn, whether it's Splendid Reclamation, Aftermath Analyst, or effects like that, right? Or just dropping a bunch of lands. You know, there's plenty of ways to drop a bunch of lands on the table, whether it's like in your ramp deck, or, you know, again, you have a way of Cultivator Colossus or something like, you know, dropping like all the lands in your hand that you just drew or so whatever, you know. Awaken the Woods. Awaken the Woods is a cute one, but again, I'm talking about standard cards here, but Awaken the Woods is another cute one where you just create a bunch of forests effectively. That's gross. Like, again, there's potential in all of these combos. I don't know how you end up doing them on turn 4 and winning a game of Modern, but like, there is potential in this line of text, and I want you to not just skip over this card and be like, oh, ho hum. Don't make the mistake I made the first time I read it. I really think like landfall get an energy counter is potentially like repulsive, dude. Like, yeah, Doppelgang, that's another cute one. Is it really? Is it playable in Historic? Is this set playable in Historic? Did I not know that? It's crazy. If this set's playable in Historic, that's nuts considering some of the stuff they're printing into it. But yeah, Doppelgang lands, Nacho, that's a good one too right there, buddy. Doppelgang like 20 lands into play, get all the energy. I don't know what you're doing with it, but maybe you're just like spinning your Aetherworks marble. So, you know, there's got to be something to do with all this energy. This card is breakable. This card is not Kimmy Schmidt. This card is in fact breakable. Copy Crook is up next. 4 mana, 2 and 2 blue for a 0/0 shapeshifter rogue. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has. Whenever this creature attacks, it connives. Same price as Clone, just for it to connive. Slightly harder to cast Clone, just because it connives when it attacks. I like clones. I'm just not really in love with this. I think even if you're playing like the Oops All Clones deck in Commander, you probably do worse than this. But hey, maybe you're just happy to have a new clone. I'm not going to take that away from you. But you guys remember how good Glasspool Mimic was? You know why? Had a land on the other side. Also, it was 3 mana. Anyway, Reckless Pyrosurfer is up next. 2 mana, 1 and a red ski for a 2/2 human scout with haste. It also has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Reckless Pyrosurfer gains Battle Cry until end of turn. This is good. This is pretty good. I don't know if it's modern playable, like at all, but I will say a 2 mana 2/2 haste is not there. It's not there by itself. But it's on its way to there. It's surfing on its... This card has awesome art, by the way. It's catching some tube, bro. It's catching some lava wave, cuz. Shaka. But anyway, this... Sorry. I can't get over how much I like this art. But the card is... I'm like teetering between like this card we'll never see play in Modern and like maybe someday somewhere. But no. I think I have to fall on the side of like probably not. 90% no. But really interesting land or drafty kind of card. You know, I hate that like it doesn't really care. Oh no, it does care. Each instance of Battle Cry triggers separately. Thank you, reminder text, for reminding me. That's why you're called that. Okay, now I get it. Yeah. So, okay, pretty abusable. Actually, somewhat abusable. You know, if you can get like 3 lands to come into play during your turn or something, like +3/+0 for everything but it when it attacks. Okay, you know, okay. All right, so, you know, I guess that's fine starting on turn 3, 4, but still, I can't say this is amazing. I just like landfall. I like that they brought back landfall. I like that they brought back modified. That was an ability I don't think they did enough with. I like that they brought back energy. That was a thing that they didn't do enough with, and you probably can't bring back in a standard set anytime soon. So, like, this is the perfect set for it. I like the mechanics they've chosen for this set. So, cool drafty card right here. Cranial Ram. Let's give them something to talk about. Everybody's talking about this card today. The artwork is just the alien from Ridley Scott's Alien, but it has like roach legs instead of its body. Anyway, this is a black and a red. For an artifact, it's an equipment with living weapon, so we've already covered what that does. It equips for 2. Equipped creature gets +X+1, where X is the number of artifacts you control. So this is a common... in case you didn't know, cranial plating is like banned in Pauper. And I think Gavin Verhey, He's a Magic guy. He works for them. He said that there's a card in this set that's probably going to get banned in Pauper. It's very likely going to get banned in Pauper. And everyone thinks it's this card. And, like, they're probably right. Like, just for the record, I don't think that those people are, like, almost certainly 100% wrong. I think they definitely have a point. But at the same time, like, I don't think this card's that good, man. I really don't. Maybe it's just me. I played Affinity. All right? I played Affinity, God, so long ago, I can't even remember what year it was. 2000? 2000? No. 2003, 4? I can't remember. I'm too old at this point. It all kind of blends together. But I played the OG Affinity for like an entire season. And Cranial Plating is a hell of a drug. It's a really good Magic card, guys. It's such a good Magic card. Cranial Plating is basically almost exactly this card. However, Cranial Plating has an activated ability. And for 2 black mana, you can just attach Cranial Plating to anything you want to at instant speed. An instant speed attach ability. And that's why Cranial Plating is good. I'm telling you, as someone that has played literally, I was going to say thousands, but like realistically 700 games with OG Affinity, the entire reason Cranial Plating is good is because, like, oh, you left one guy unblocked? I guess you lose the game then. Sorry. And, like, this doesn't do that. So I'm just, like, not seeing it. Can't wait for you to talk about the Necrobloom. Yesterday's video, we talked about the Necrobloom. Cool Commander. I can't wait to get my hands on that card in Commander. And I do think it's abusable in Modern, but, like, you know, I think it's more of a Commander card that, like, I probably will build a Commander deck around at some point. Rep Abzan. Come in riding Rhinos, repping that Abzan. But on Cranial Ram, I just think, like, plating is... it's unbelievably the degrees of difference, the magnitudes of difference between this card and Cranial Plating, because you can equip this at instant speed and one more time, Daft Punk, one more time. That's the whole reason Cranial Plating is a good Magic card. It really is. I won. Good God, I mean, like 40% of the games I won with Affinity is because, like, you play Frogmite and somebody's like, I scoop. You know, they don't want to play against Affinity. But I think, like, the other 60% of my wins with Affinity can be attributed to, you know, shifting Cranial Plating to a 1/1 at instant speed, or like, oh, you forgot to block Frogmite. Take 30, you know. So it's just, I don't know, man. We'll see. Galvanic Discharge. This is a single. It's kind of a gross name when you think about it. They really like the word galvanic, don't they? Lately, especially the last 5 or 6 years. It's like they pulled out of a thesaurus and were like, ooh, galvanic. Okay, but anyway, it's a single red mana for an instant. It sounds like a magic word. Choose target creature or planeswalker. You get 3 energy. Then you may pay any amount of energy. Discharge deals that much damage to that permanent. This card is 1 mana for 3 energy. This card is a mana for 3 energy, bro. Like, sister, do you understand what I'm telling you? That this card is a mana for 3 energy? It's also Strangle. It's also just, I mean, it's not Lightning Bolt, you know. It only deals damage to stuff on the ground. You can't go upstairs with it, but, like, okay. It's an instant speed Strangle. You know, and that's just one mode. That's just one mode. It's also a shock that leaves behind an energy, or it's, you know, a 1 damage, a lava dart that leaves behind 2 energy. Like, whoo, do we learn nothing from Attune with Ether? Attune with Ether was 1 mana for 2 energy. That also goes and gets you a land, and it was banned, dude. It was banned along with like 2 other cards or 3 other cards because they banned the energy deck out of Standard. But that should be a lesson too. But Attune with Ether got banned. And it is because it's a very important piece for that deck to get going. Give it a turn 1 play, you know, go ahead and get some energy. Facilitate its turn 2 energy plays so it gets better. And this is just that. This is just that it gives you 3 energy, man. You have 2 cards now available to you in Modern that give you, you know, at least 2, if not 3 energy on turn 1. You have to target a creature for this. So I will say that. If you just have it on turn 1 and you go first, you can't get your energy. So that's a little bit of a counterbalance, right? But just 1 mana for 3 energy and kill something early, you know, like kill your Bowmaster and get 2 energy. Like, that's really good. It's really, really good. So, yeah, I played that deck. The meta was almost 60% mirror. Are you talking about the energy deck, or are you talking about the affinity deck from a second ago? That's the other thing. Like the other wins that you get with Affinity back in the day are when you're playing against Affinity and you win the coin flip. And they're just like, all right, I guess I died. Scoop. Guess I'll go ahead and turn in the slip for the round because I'm done. You know what I mean? Yeah, Energy, the meta was a lot of mirror. That's why they tried to ban that deck out of existence. And it still kind of existed after they banned like 3 cards out of it. So Energy was really good. And don't forget that. Don't forget that cards like this is a hell of a drug. This is a fantastic Magic card, dude. Again, just that line of like 1 mana, take out Bowmasters, leave 2 energy behind. Like that seems like kind of a huge gain. So this is maybe the best lower rarity card of the entire day. It almost, I won't say certainly, but like somewhat likely. That means we're in the rares. We got the rares, baby. Yeah, I remember when Affinity first hit, I just wasn't up to tournament play level. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really either. I went to a couple of big like tournaments, Pro Tour qualifiers and stuff with it, but I wasn't ready for that. But God, you go to the card shop, especially considering when Affinity was first a deck, like when it first came around. It was really cheap to build. It was super, super cheap to build. It wasn't until later that like Thoughtcast was $2 for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, why is Shrapnel Blast $5? You know, for like a year there. It's like, Shrapnel Blast is supposed to be 10 cents. What are you doing? I think it's back down to 10 cents now. But for a while, like this, just even stupid cards. Like, why is Mirror Enforcer $1? Like, come on. But anyway, Estrid's Invocation is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for an enchantment. You may have Invocation enter the battlefield. It's a copy of an enchantment you control, except it has at the beginning of your upkeep. You may exile this enchantment. If you do, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So you can reset it to be different enchantments. They're really cool. Again, for these like Bant commander decks that care about enchantments, I could see it, but maybe there's something breakable. Maybe there's something breakable with this. Copy enchantment is not something we see every day, but it is a thing, you know. It's a thing. I believe we've been able to copy enchantments, but this is kind of cool because it's just straight up copy enchantment. My thing is, kind of wish it was just called copy enchantment. Maybe we already have that. I'm brain farting on it right now. Is it? Okay, it is a reprint. I knew it. I went to Scryfall earlier. Put in the name of every single card we're going to cover today. And was like, you know, is basically to see if it has other printings. And at the time, Scryfall wasn't showing me other printings for this, but I was like, it has to be a reprint, right? It has to be a reprint. Is it a reprint into Modern that wasn't already in Modern? Is that the idea? Probably. But I can't think of too many like dumb enchantments to copy in Modern that win you the game on 3 with this. I don't super see it. I like this a lot. Holy crap. Yeah, I mean, copy enchantment is a cool ability. I will say that much. Copy enchantment is a great ability, but gotta think of like a 2 mana enchantment to copy in Modern that wins you the game on 3. It doesn't have to like win you the game, but it has to like result in you winning the game. If you can get 2 of that 2 mana enchantment as early as 3. And I just kind of blanking on that, but obviously I'm not like, I don't know all the cards in Modern. You know what I mean? We'll move on to Disruptor Flute. This is 2 mana for an artifact. This has flash, and as it enters the battlefield, you choose a card name. Spells with the chosen name cost 3 more to cast. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Am I being a doofus about this? How does timing work, right? Like, you announce that you're going to cast a card and pay the mana for it, but then, like, can you flash this in and it suddenly costs them more to cast the spell? Judge? If someone announces their intention to cast a spell, can I then flash this in and suddenly that spell costs more to cast? It doesn't work that way, right? Why does this card have flash? Like, what is this? And like, I can't flash it in response to them activating an activated ability because the activated ability is already on the stack. So like, what's the point, you know? And like, the spell is already on the stack. My opponent had priority. They put a spell on the stack. So if I try to flash this in, the spell's on the stack. Like, what? It doesn't affect the casting cost. Yeah, knowing combo pieces, I suppose. You know what I mean? It doesn't work those ways. Like, it doesn't increase the cost of a spell on the stack. It doesn't just suddenly say no to an activated ability on the stack. So I don't really get, maybe you're just trying to play reactively. Maybe it goes in strictly reactive decks. So you want to be able to play it at the end of your opponent's turn. Sure, it has flash. But maybe am I just being super stupid? Like, chat would tell me if I'm being stupid, right? I've been on and off about this card all day because just like, if it works in the most annoying possible way, then like maybe it's a good card. But this is not a counter it unless you pay 3 more, right? That's not what this is. That would be too good. No, you have to know what your opponent is playing ahead of time. So it's kind of like a pithing needle. It's a bit like a pithing needle that also increases costs. So is it good? Is it good? Again, I think the reason it has flash is you're just trying to play reactively. And also, right, because if it's your turn 2 and you went first, maybe this is just a theory, a game theory. If you go first and it's your turn 2 and it's game 1, you might not know what your opponent's playing, right? But by the end of your opponent's turn 2, you should know what they're playing, right? So maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is you can go first and then play this on the end of your opponent's turn 2 and have a pretty good idea of what dance they're doing out there on the floor. I don't know. Yeah, pithing needle side grade. Exactly. Yeah, or Sorcerer Spyglass, but yeah, just a much more reactive one. And I can dig it. I'm probably just like way overthinking the card. But I think some people will misread it, and like people will put a spell on the stack and somebody thinks that this is just a 2-mana leak that any deck can play. You know, it's like, it's not that. But I bet you someone's going to try to play it that way. Sowing Micah Spawn is up next. This is 4 mana, 3 and a green for a 3/3 Eldrazi fungus with Devoid. This card with green in its mana cost has Devoid. It also has Kicker. There's plenty of cards like that. It also has Kicker, 1 and a colorless. When you cast the spell, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. When you cast the spell, if it was kicked, exile target land. So good, man. It's a 5 mana 3/3. So almost no matter what the sort of ETB triggers are, I'm not sure if it's going to see modern play, right? But like maybe in the Eldrazi deck, like maybe in the Eldrazi deck, it's a bridge because it helps you ramp into your bigger Eldrazi, but it also kind of like, you know, gets your opponent, you know what I mean? It keeps them from sort of keeping up with your mana production, makes them trip. So this is actually kind of good. Like we're starting to border on good. A 4 mana 3/3 that just puts a land into play. Again, probably not modern playable in and of itself. How many people are playing Blossoming Tortoise in modern? I'm pretty sure it's a goose egg on that one. So I don't know how good that is, but you know, it's Topiary Stomper with 1 less PT that can always attack and block. So I don't know. It's very close to there. And if it was a standard playable card, I think it would be like the thing that replaces Topiary Stomper next season. But you know, in modern, I'm not sure how good that ability is by itself, but I do like it. But you talk about exile a land, not even destroy target land, exile, boy. You talk about exile a land, son. Oh my goodness, like, that is worth 5 mana, dude. I get to ramp, I get a body, and take out your best land. Oh my god, that's a cubable card too. That is just about cubable, despite the colorless and the casting cost. I just really like the design on this, but we'll see. I get the idea that this could actually body people like pretty easily. Yeah, I keep forgetting we're rating these cards based on modern, not standard. I thought this was awesome. Yeah, if this were standard, it would be awesome. But yeah, these cards are not standard legal. We got to judge these based on modern. And so like even really, really good looking cards are not actually that good. Now this is a commander card. This is unashamedly, unapologetically a commander card. Roisin, Roaring Prophet, another Roisin. And she mad at somebody. She is mad at somebody. 4 mana, 2, a red and a green for a 4/4 legendary giant shaman. When Roisin, Roaring Prophet enters the battlefield, you mill 6 cards. You may put a card with X in its mana cost from among them into your hand. You can tap it to reveal any number of cards with X in their mana cost from your hand. Add 2 colorless for each card revealed this way. Spend this mana only on costs that contain X. So when I first read this card this morning, again, I was kind of sleepy. I kept looking for a value for X. It's like when it enters the battlefield, mill 6 cards, put a card with X in its mana cost. What X? What mana cost X? No, dude, you're putting a card with an actual X in the mana cost line into your hand. So really cool commander. We've seen a couple of commanders that care about like X spells. There's a really awesome like Sultai Hydra one that I love. I love that dude so much. So I think I'd probably rather build that deck than this, but I will say there might be a reason you want to mill cards in your X deck. You know what I mean? Really, imagine this in Teamer Analyst. You know, the Teamer World Souls Rage deck in Standard. This would see like at least 2 of play, right? You know, you want to mill cards in that deck, you know. Anyway, again, not for standard. It's like taunting us. Like, imagine if Team or Analysts had this. I'd honestly rather not, to be honest. But I'd honestly rather not, to be honest. Anyway, I like this though as a commander. I don't play a whole lot of Gruul commanders, but this one might get me started. I like X spells. Like you guys know, I'm a huge mark for X spells. So a rube for spells with X in the cost. So I don't know. It's neat. It's a cool dude. Cool lady. But Primal Prayers is up next. What's the difference between standard and modern? Just more available cards. Yeah, but modern never ever rotates. Modern doesn't rotate. They have to have sets like Modern Horizons come out that have a bunch of modern playable cards and like build-arounds in them to like pseudo-rotate the format. And like a lot of people do not like that. I love it. I like that. I think that should happen. I think occasionally formats should change actually. And you shouldn't be playing the same 10 decks in a format for 10 years. I think that maybe adding cards to a format is good actually. But anyway, my 10 cents on that. 2 cents? That's worth 10 cents. Primal Prayers is 4 mana, 2 and 2 green for an enchantment. When it ETBs, you get 2 energy counters. You may cast creature spells with mana value 3 or less by paying energy rather than paying their mana cost. If you cast a spell this way, you may cast it as though it had flash. This is Aluren. This is just an Aluren from like Tempest, Stronghold, something like that. But you can never infinite with this. Well, that's not true. That's not true. That isn't true. Let's say that you had a creature that creates energy when it comes into play, right? Okay, we just saw that. Didn't we? Ooh, okay, so we just saw a creature that comes into play and gives you 2 energy. We saw Is it if you cast it from your hand? I'm cooking, guys. Sorry. Give me a second to cook. I don't care what's new in Chrome. Shut up. All right, so let's go to newest spoilers here and look at yesterday's spoilers. There will be scrolling. I will probably cut the scrolling out of the YouTube video. Ooh, there's a new card to look at too. There's a new card. What is this dinosaur's name? What is this stinking 2-mana raptor's name? Amped Raptor. Okay. From your hand. Oh, no. Okay. When Amped Raptor enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. Then if you cast it from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library to you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by paying an amount of energy equal to its blah, blah, blah. So, damn it. Long story short, damn it. I was really hoping you could pull some sick, like, infinites with the Raptor, you know. But yeah, basically, if you have a creature with mana cost 3 or less that puts 2 energy counters into play, it gives you 2 energy counters when it comes into play. And then, like, a free way of sacking that, right? Then you could, just a free sack outlet, then you could feasibly play the same creature over and over. Using the energy it gave you to recast it from your graveyard. So yeah, right? That makes sense. 2-drop that gives you 2 energy. Sack it to something. And you have like a Blood Artist kind of effect in play. And you just win the game that way. So you can do infinites with this, but you're limited only to creatures that create 2 energy when they come into play and have a mana value 3 or less. So there are potential infinites. I'll say that much. But it's going to require like 4 pieces. So requires this 4 mana piece plus some sort of Blood Artist effect, right? Plus some sort of free repeatable sack outlet, plus the creature that you need to be sacking. So it's a lot of pieces, but I get to be excited about it. I love Aluren combos. You know, Enduring Renewal, Aluren was like a big thing back when I first started, like the year after I started playing Magic. So I like your references. I'll keep saying it. I like your references, Wizard. So Aluren is kind of low-key one of my favorite Magic cards of all time. So I love this, but I don't really like how narrow the combos are. But I guess once you print a card like Aluren, you realize that you kind of got to narrow up that band a little bit if you want it to be a not broken Magic card. So I don't know, dude. I'm kind of excited about it, though. Kind of a little bit excited about it. Greenbelt Rampager. Does the Cub, what's his name, Long Tusk Cub or something like that, does he give you 2 energy too when he comes into play? I think there are multiple creatures like this that fit this bill. So, neat. Anyway, Guide of Souls. We're actually getting close to the end here, I think. Guide of Souls is, I I'll tell you how I feel about this card and why. But it mostly comes down to I'm kind of a boomer. Guide of Souls is a single white mana for a 1/2 human cleric. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and get an energy counter. Whenever you attack, you may pay 3 energy. Whenever you do, or when you do, put 2 +1/+1 counters and a flying counter on target attacking creature. It becomes an angel in addition to its other types. So this is a Soul's Attendant, not quite a Soul Warden. I think Soul Warden is any creature comes into play. But this is at least a Soul's Attendant or a Lunarch Veteran or something like that. But it is so much better. I'll put it this way. Any 1-drop, like if this was just a 1-drop that didn't have the Soul Warden text and instead only had the energy text, it would still be a playable Magic card. An energy when a creature comes into play under your control is not necessarily busted or anything, but like it's bent. You know what I mean? Like it will break one day if not treated soon. So that's just a very good ability. It also goes with the last card we were talking about to kind of facilitate those like infinite combos. Because you'll get a creature to come into play under your control. That's an energy counter that helps you cast more things with your like fake Aluren or whatever. So that's good enough. But just the fact that this is going to facilitate the same infinite life combos that Warden, Attendant, Veteran, they all facilitate. So it's like a 4th copy of a card like that in your commander deck. And that really helps those combos be more smooth. Easy to get to, but we now have a 1 mana guy. I don't want to harp on it too much. I've been trying not to repeat myself so much this spoiler season, but like 1 mana guy, whenever a creature comes into play, you get an energy. That's just good. That line of text is good by itself. So I don't know, a little worried about it. And honestly, this triggered ability, whenever you attack, you can get +2/+2, 2 +1/+1 counters and a flying counter. It can make itself a 3/4 flyer for your 1 mana investment. So I honestly think this card might. I actually said I wouldn't use the word cracked earlier, but like, maybe, dude. Like, bro. I would not be surprised if this was just like absolutely disgusting. Really like it though. For what it's worth, I like a good Soul Warden, and this is potentially the best Soul Warden ever printed. Possibly. I think Soul Warden herself is a life whenever any creature enters, and that's fantastic. So if we're talking about Soul Warden variants, Soul's Attendant, Lunarch Veteran, this is many cuts above the rest. Those are bottom round tip steak. This is the fillet. So man, I just want to stare at this card all night. This card is so good. Dude. But Shifting Woodland, I gotta move on. Shifting Woodland is a land. It makes sense. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a forest. We can tap it for a green mana, and it has Delirium. I haven't seen Delirium in a while, right? It's 2 and 2 green. Shifting Woodland becomes a copy of target permanent card in your graveyard till end of turn. Activate this only if you have Delirium. There are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Now, when we looked at the black one in this cycle yesterday, I talked an awful lot about opportunity cost there, and I'm not going to bring it up too much here because I actually think that OC is higher on this card because Delirium is not hard to activate, but it is a thing that requires a certain kind of deck building, right? Like you can't just slot this into anything. You do have to have 4 permanent types in your deck, and you have to have like enough numbers of those permanent types to reliably hit this. But that said, opportunity cost, I'll say it one more time, is relatively still low, even with, the requirements that Delirium, has in mind. OC is still relatively low because, like, all you have to do is play forests in your green deck, and, like, suddenly this is just the stats for green, comes into play on tap. So, like, sure, Like, again, even though opportunity cost is a lot higher than the swamp one in the cycle, still relatively low, and low enough that I feel like this sees play. Do you understand how busted a permanent card in your graveyard? A permanent, it can be a planeswalker, it can be an enchantment, it can be an artifact, and obviously it can be a creature. Just basically a 4 mana. This is a creature land, right? This is a creature land. That also makes sure that you can keep your combos in place. I think that's something that not enough people are talking about with this card. It is 4 mana. Right, but if your opponent has killed an important piece of a combo earlier, you can always activate this, and then suddenly you've got your entire combo together, just win the game. So could definitely work out. I think there's a lot of great things about the card, and I think that it will see some play in Modern, but I think it might be niche play, mostly because, like, even though, you know, a green is a green, especially if it comes into play untapped, you do still have to facilitate through deck building this Delirium ability. So, well, we'll see. Not every deck will be able to play it, is what I'm saying. It gets the ring and keeps counters without dealing damage to... Ooh. It's every creature in your graveyard. Yeah, it could also be a land, by the way. You could turn this into a land if you wanted to. I think that's kind of interesting, depending on what you got. But yeah, a mono green reanimator piece, kind of, that reanimates anything, dude. It could even be a boat. Harbinger of the Seas has got to be the last card. Yeah, it is. Okay, so this officially spoiled a couple of days ago, but I wasn't sure if it had been officially spoiled. You know, it looked like an arena card. It wasn't sourced on any site. It was not sourced. If you hit the source on MTG Previews, it would take you to the preview video that I didn't actually know if it was in or not. I didn't see it. So maybe I just didn't watch the entire preview video or whatever it was. But I had not known for sure if this card was officially spoiled. But now that I know it is, we got to talk about Harbinger of the Seas. This is 3 mana, 1 and 2 blue for a 2/2 Merfolk Wizard. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? This is non-basic lands or islands. Oh yeah, it can be Omniscience. That last land can be Omniscience. Yes, it can. It was in a tiny part of the arena section of the video. That's probably why I didn't see it. This is Blood Moon. This is a Blood Moon right here. A blued moon. A blue moon. It's just a blue moon. That's a thing people say, right? Once in a blue moon, we get a card like this. We certainly did. This is worse than Blood Moon, better than Magus of the Moon. And like Magus of the Moon sees play, you know? So it also goes in Merfolk. It just goes in Fish, right? Like day one, this obviously makes Merfolk better. So let's go. I wonder what the professor thinks about this card, like, on that note. But still, yeah, this is a brutal line of text. Absolutely brutal line of text. The thing about, say, Magus of the Moon is that your opponent can only make red mana, but like Lightning Bolt kills Magus of the Moon, you know, shock effects kill Magus of the Moon. Aren't a whole lot of spells with blue mana in them that kill this. Not really. You know, I guess you can bounce it and keep your, you know, have your mana back for a turn if you have blue spells. But, yeah. You can kill a Magus of the Moon. Like if you're in Scam, you know, you can kill Magus of the Moon. You've got red mana, you know, or you've got red spells in your deck is what I'm saying. So you can kill Magus. Oh, big deal. I just got a hard time with it. Once it resolves, it's on the table. What does Scam do? What does Scam do once this is actually on the table? How do they remove it? Hate to make the worst face I've ever made, but you know, I don't know how this leaves the table against like certain decks once it's on the table. So this is a dangerous card. This is like a super dangerous card. Is it going for what money? What money do you have to pay for this card right now? Is it reasonable? TCGplayer.com. What is it called? Magus of the Tide or something? Harbinger of the Seas. I don't remember names of cards. It was literally just on screen. I literally just said it. Harbinger of the Seas. Pre-order $15 on the low end. That's, I mean, don't order it. Don't order this card. Never in your life, never pre-order a Magic card. Do not do it. Okay? Don't pre-order. Don't do it. Do not do it. Some of them may go up after release, and for all I know, this one will too. But I expected this to be twice this. I really did. But still, don't pre-order Magic cards. This will probably trend downwards, and once the set releases and boxes start getting open, and there's actual supply in the world, the price will go down. So that ain't bad. Look at Necrobloom pre-order. Okay, huh? That's an interesting exercise. Like while we're here, even though I did have to go back to the site. Necrobloom. Necrobloom. $8. Shipping included. That's direct. What's the actual MP on it? Yeah, okay, so MP is $16. But all of its sales have been through direct today. So that's cute. Listed median 8. Listed median 8, but market 16. That doesn't make any sense. I want to check this out though. The Necro Bloom. Do it again. Do it again. Show me the card again, but borderless this time. I hate that they're separate entries. Whoo! Woo! All right, 75. That's pretty good. Market price is 50 though. Direct is 75. Listed median 75. Probably aren't a whole lot of listings, are there? But whoever's selling it at 49 is making the sales. So let's just call it $50 for right now for the super special Necro Bloom art. I like it. I like it. Human music. I like it. But yeah, Harbinger of the Seas. I really wish that I had a whole lot of stuff to say about this. I've already gone over why I think it's much harder to remove than typical cards like it, Blood Moons and stuff, right? But that said, this is just dangerous. It's super. It's just am I like freaking out too much? Like, do I think it's too dangerous? I'd really like to discuss this with chat slightly. I know we have like a card or two to look at that popped up since we started the stream that's new, and I'm interested in that. Like Alucard, I'm interested in this, but I do want to just know like kind of how chat feels about this, how the comment section on YouTube feels about this, because like this is a card I've kind of been wigging out about for like 2 days, and maybe it's all for nothing, and it's not as good as I think it is, and, you know, call off the dogs, and it won't have to, you know, be banned or something. I don't know if we're getting that far with it, but the card just looks extremely, extremely annoying, not just in Modern, but like Commander. This card looks super annoying in Commander. Why does it have to exist? Maybe that's my problem, is that like I'm nervous and I'm sweaty, knees weak, mom's spaghetti or whatever, and I just don't want to ever play against this card in my life. No, the card is good. All right. Like, my instinct is to say that of all of the cards that we've seen in the set so far, this is like maybe the best card in the set. I think maybe that land that taps for 2, so long as you have like a 7-drop underneath it, I think that land's really, really good. But I think this is like easily top 3 cards in the set. Play this in Blood Moon in an Is It deck? Yeah. How would that be? You have both of them on the table at the same time? I guess you, like, every land is a steam vents or something? Or does it work by timestamp, right? Like if I play if I play Harbinger of the Seas and all lands are islands, and then I somehow cast a Blood Moon, are all lands now mountains and not islands? Does it work on timestamps? Because some things do. Some effects like that do. But, or are they all islands and mountains? I don't see why they can't be the same thing. Does Blood Moon say that? Does Blood Moon say that all lands? Hold on. What's the exact wording on Blood Moon? Is it just all lands or mountains or whatever, or all non-base? I forget. Blood Moon. Blood Moon, Blood Moon. Yeah, non-basic lands or mountains. I thought there might have been more text to it. But no, it's just non-basic lands or mountains. Okay. Well, that's not bad. Just I figured why I was here. While I was here, I'd look at a Blood Moon from the dark. 47? I'm not going to pay that, but that's, for direct, that's not bad. 39 heavily played. 40 heavily played. 36 heavily played. 36 heavily played. Oh, it's a $4.99 shipping. No way to get free shipping. Okay. Shipping included heavily played. Okay. Maybe. Anyway. Sorry. Now we got to go to Mythic Spoiler. And look at the new cards from the day. Yeah, the prices really come down. Like super duper come down. But let's look at the last couple of cards, because I eagle-eyed that there were a couple of new ones yet. A couple of new Rakdos cards. That's exciting, considering what decks are important in Modern right now. So let's take a look at Pyretic Rebirth here. This is a 4-mana uncommon in Rakdos, so I can't imagine it's that good, but that's really judging a book by its cover. Maybe it's got the best text I've ever seen on a Magic card. 2, a black and a red for an instant. Okay. Return target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Pyretic Rebirth deals damage equal to that card's mana value to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. No, it's pretty bad. It is a 2-for-1, but it's a draft card. Bodies, people. I'm sure this is very good in draft. You know, get my bomb creature back and like kill your biggest guy or whatever. Like, okay, you know. Can also kill a walker. Okay, I imagine in draft that you play the copies of this that you end up with, but it's probably about where it stops. But yeah, good card there. It's cool. Imskir Iron Eater. This is appears to be our final card of the day. 6, a black, and a red for a 5/5 legendary demon. Okay, with affinity for artifacts. Okay. When Imskir Iron Eater enters the battle, why can't we play this in Rakdos Anvil in standard? Why aren't these cards standard legal? I don't even know what it does yet. I already know I want it in Anvil. When Imskir Iron Eater enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is half the number of artifacts you control, rounded down. You can also, okay. You can also pay 3 and a red and sack an artifact to have Imskir deal damage equal to the sacrifice artifact's mana value to any target. So, can't sacrifice artifact tokens to it, but that might not be that big of a deal. Why is it 4 mana? Why is this activated ability 4 mana? That's so many manas. Like, if I want to play him, if I have all 6 artifacts on the table and I play him for 2 mana, that feels pretty good, right? But like, if I want to use his activated ability the same turn, I have to pay 6 total mana to come on, dude. Why is it 4? Is it too dangerous if it's like 2 mana? Is it too dangerous if it's free? Probably. It's probably too dangerous if it's free, but I can't sacrifice token artifacts. Why is it 4 mana? Why is it 4 mana? Somebody tell me. Why is it 4 mana? Bad. Yeah, somebody said Jackwise, bad. Yeah, I don't know, man. Affinity for artifacts. So, like, if we're talking a 2 mana 5/5 that draws 3 cards, that's awesome. A 2 mana 5/5 that draws 3 is busted. Like, it doesn't even need the activated ability. So, yeah. But when does it come down, right? How long does it take to get 6 artifacts in Modern? Where, like, we don't have, like, the artifact lands, I don't think. So, if we had artifact lands, dude, if we had artifact lands, you could play this on, like, 3 really easily. Super, right? Yeah, you could. Artifact land, 1-drop, artifact land, 1-drop, 1-drop. You play it on 3, and suddenly you win. I don't know, dude. All I can see here is 2 mana 5/5 draw 3. At least, you know, like, it might be 2 mana draw 6. Like, you're going to lose a bunch of life. Yeah. But like, so Gristlebrand is, you know, 7 life to draw a fresh hand. And it's like one of the best creatures ever printed. So, Necropotence is, you know, pay a life, draw a card. Yawgmoth's Bargain, pay a life, draw a card. And like, these are the best cards. These are some of the best cards that have ever graced Magic. Well, Necropotence. I don't know about Bargain, but I really like Bargain. It's good in Commander. But yeah, I think this card's actually kind of really good. I think it might be, guys. I don't know. Like, I don't know. If you have to wait until turn 4 for it to come down, it's not as good. But still, like, ETB draw, like, 4 cards or whatever. ETB draw 3, like, it's a 5/5 too. Yeah, this is a good card. This is a good Magic card. This is a very good Magic card, I think. It's not inspiring me as an EDH player. Yeah, I mean, I think as an EDH player, you're more into the activated ability. Like, you know, I got to do something with this activated ability. And, like, maybe it's good. Maybe it's, like, sneaky good in, like, Grixis Affinity, right? Because, like, Grixis Affinity is a deck. And this could be great there. Because you just sacrifice Mirror Enforcer, right? You're paying 4 mana, but imagine the reach, dude. You sacrifice Mirror Enforcer and Dome 7. That's worth 4 mana, right? Because what this actually says is 4 mana win the game. If you're playing this card right, this says, I'm a 2 mana 5/5 that draws 3. And just in case that's not good enough, I also win the game. With this ability, I win the game. Frogmite, sack it 4 damage. You know, Mirror Enforcer, sack it 7 damage. Broodstar's not seeing any play. But you get my point, right? Like, there are plenty of affinity creatures that have, like, a massively high casting cost. So, yeah, dude. Yeah, son. I think it's pretty good. 2 up for value as you slam through the rest of the list. I mean, isn't it at the end of... Oh, okay. Yeah, it synergizes with Prototype. Does it, like... How does this work with Prototype? If I cast a new Mirror Enforcer as a Frogmite, right? So his casting cost is 4. Then his casting cost is 4, right? So, like, if I sacrifice him, he'll do 4 damage to any target. But if I don't Prototype him and he's just a Mirror Enforcer, right? He's a 7 mana 4/4. then he deals 7. I'm pretty sure that's how this works with Prototype. Yeah, Broodestar is a beefy boy, though. If you do elect to play Broodestar, you are hitting for 10. So I wouldn't discount this activated ability, but again, I don't think it needs it. I think because Broodestar, by the way, is a great way of illustrating my point, and so is like Mirror Enforcer. How often do you pay any mana for Mirror Enforcer? Never? Have you ever in your life paid any mana for Mirror Enforcer ever? So I don't think I have. And this is technically 1 mana less than Mirror Enforcer, right? To like not play free, you still have to pay the 2 mana, but like you get what I'm saying. So yeah, it should be easy, dude. And like people played Broodestar, like in Affinity back in the day, people played like 2-up Broodestar, sometimes 4-up Broodestar even. And that's a beefy man, and that's 8. That's 8. You know, and people be playing like turn 3 Broodestars like in standard Affinity. So like, yeah, man. Yeah, this guy's good. I think this guy's actually like phenomenal. AJ Styles. Like, I really think just draw 3. I'm just going to freak out about it. Draw 3 cards, probably, maybe more. Like, if you are running like artifact lands and stuff, like, you're going to take a shot in the mouth. Who cares? I drew 5 cards. Like, God. 4, you know, I'm pretty sure it's easy enough to draw 3. So I got to stop talking about this card, but I don't want to. Like, the more I look at it, the more I'm like Jack Nicholson from Anger Management meme, you know? Yes. It's like crazy eyes, you know, because like it's kind of a bad lady right here, dude. I get into it. I'd date her, but let's quick reload of Mythic Spoiler. Yeah, that's it. All right. So that is all of the cards that we saw from Modern Horizons 3 today. Some bangers, man. Like, even I was honestly surprised how long I talk about some of these lower rarity cards, because going in, I didn't think that I would. I figured I'd just blast through them, but there's interesting things to do, man. Like the sleeper card of the day. Sleeper card of the day. Do not forget Royal Cartographer, everybody. I'm telling you, land enters the battlefield. Landfall, get an energy counter. It's good. That's good. If you remember anything else, remember that this is 1 mana for 3 energy. It does require a target, but like 1 mana for 3 energy is kill your Bowmasters, get 2 energy. God, it's good. It's good magic card. It's a good magic card. But that is all of the cards from MH3 today. We'll be back with more spoilers soon. I actually have to record a thing with Power Dragon for his channel tomorrow, so I think I will forego other work, but I'll catch up on the weekend spoilers after that, probably on Saturday, Sunday. So you guys will see me again, and then we'll be back on stream Thursday and every Thursday for the rest of time after that. So, you know, if you're on YouTube watching this and you haven't signed up for the Strictly Squad, come on over to Twitch, man. We have a lot of fun over here. So anyway, that's all I've got for this one on the YouTube end. Twitch people, of course, stick around. I feel like after I say spread love and be kind, I've got you like it's a Pavlovian thing, right? You're just like, all right, close the video, you know. But Twitch, stick around for a second. We will predict King of the Ring, which I actually don't think should be too hard. And then we'll get off stream. But for now, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, just tell me how you felt about all the takes and all the cards or anything I missed, any interactions and stuff that are just going to end Modern as we know it. Day 1, it's all done. Just pack it up, stick a fork in it. Just let me know all that stuff. Give me your takes. It's your turn now. Aside from that, like the video on your way out. Sub to the sandwich, of course. You know, we're trying to get to a million subs. And we're only like 868,000 away. So if we keep going, then in another 64 years, we'll make it. But, you know, if you want to accelerate that process, hit the sub button. Aside from that, hit the bell for notifications, or don't. I don't really, just sub. But aside from that, check out the Patreon, of course. $1 a month to support the channel around here. You get a lot of like little freebies. You get to vote on content and stuff like that. You get to vote on what content happens at the beginning of Bloomborough season. That's a pretty good little perk there. Plamokin, longtime fan of the channel and stream and friend of the channel even. Thank you for your sub. 27 months is forever. But anyway, that's all I've got for the YouTube portion of the stream. I love you very much, YouTube crew, and I will catch you cats later. I'm there from the place. Thanks for watching. Spread love and be kind.